Working in a school setting is decidedly different than working in a typical business setting. But like a business, it's important that you are professional. Regardless of your placement, whether you are a paraprofessional, a substitute teacher, a systems technician, a behavior interventionist, or a clerical worker, there are some essential qualities that make great support personnel. Perhaps above all else, being a great supporting staff member means presenting yourself in a professional way. You practice good hygiene, and you only wear appropriate clothes to school. This means nothing with holes, logos, or inappropriate language, and no open-toed shoes. You should dress to impress. Professionalism means you are energetic and always on at work. You look for ways to compliment students and the people you work with. You never use inappropriate language at work. This includes topics that may be considered improper by any parent of a student under your care. Students will have a wide range of exposure to grown-up topics, depending on their life experiences and their parents' permissiveness. So keep all of your conversations at school professional, and stay away from subjects that are questionable. Students love to know more about you, but the less you share, the safer you are. So turn the conversation around and focus on them. Being a great support staff member also means being responsible. You keep yourself free of any misunderstanding by practicing responsible behavior in all of your school relationships. This means never resorting to violence with students and never engaging in inappropriate physical contact. You realize that these behaviors will lead to the loss of your job and could result in criminal charges. With the exception to special circumstances, instituting a no-touch policy is the safest way to avoid these situations entirely. Be creative and discover alternative methods for celebration, encouragement, and comfort that don't require touch. For example, an air high five. Another way you can limit misunderstandings is by restricting your social networking to only your personal life. Do not ever request or accept friendship with a student, and don't mention students or post pictures of them. Also, it is advised to refrain from using your profile as a place to complain about administration, coworkers, students, or students' parents. Don't post anything that could be considered offensive. Remember, anything you post on a social networking site can shed light on all aspects of your life, including your career. Be sure that whatever you post on social media reflects a positive image of yourself and has nothing to do with work. Being a great support staff member means being a team player. You understand that cooperation with your colleagues is essential, and you get along with just about anyone. Introduce yourself to the administration, the other teachers, and the other paraprofessionals in the building. Let them know that you're willing to work within the boundaries of the job that you've been hired to perform. Similarly, great support staff are hardworking and resourceful. This means that you are persistent in the face of difficulty and can deal with any type of curveball thrown your way. You are adaptable and recognize that you may need to make last-minute changes in your schedule, routine, placement, and duties. You view these changes as challenges you can work with, rather than obstacles to your success. Working with or around children also means you may be exposed to bloodborne pathogens. Be a resourceful school employee by taking proper precautions and limiting your exposure to bloodborne pathogens. If a student is injured and bleeding, put on latex or vinyl gloves before assisting him or her. In serious injury cases, be resourceful by immediately sending for the school nurse. The school nurse will be properly trained to handle severe situations.
And what are these used for? These are her letters.
As a great supporting staff member, you are willing to learn. You ask questions, seek clarification when you do not understand, and do what needs to be done to complete the job. You are also proactive, taking the time to become familiar with your school's policies and procedures before beginning your assignment. When you enter a new school, Finding the building safety plan located in every classroom should be your first priority. You have a positive outlook towards students. You are encouraging, friendly, engaging, and a positive role model. You recognize that each student is different and are accepting of their differences. Great support staff also have the necessary insight to properly document and effectively convey details about incidents that occur. So if a student makes a poor behavior choice, make a note and inform the teacher. Remember, it's not your job to discipline students beyond asking them to settle down and focus on their work. Never argue with a student. At times this may prove difficult, but remember, you are the adult, and adults maintain a calm demeanor. Well, usually.
So move the testing to later in the day?
Yeah, we could do it after English, and then I think group activities probably first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
You recognize that communication is key, and you keep in constant communication with students, cooperating teachers, school administration, and supervisors. If a parent has a question about a child or asks your opinion about a teacher, remember the chain of command and direct the parent to the teacher. Sometimes parents get angry. Don't take it personally. We all have moments that try our patience. Remember, send the parent to the teacher and let the teacher handle the situation. Finally, great support staff are ethical. This isn't just a recommendation, but a requirement outlined by government laws and regulations that you should be aware of. The law defines harassment as unwelcome conduct that is based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information. Harassment can occur between any two people in the school environment. If you suspect that there is harassment taking place in your school, please notify the principal or school staff member designated to receive reports and complaints. To be sure that a complaint is never launched against you, keep your language and behavior free from prejudice and intimidation at all times. The Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act is a federal law that legally requires individuals working with children to report any suspected child abuse. Child abuse and neglect is defined as any recent act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caregiver, which results in death, serious physical or emotional harm, sexual abuse, or exploitation. It also includes an act or failure to act which presents an imminent risk of serious harm. As a school staff member, you are considered a mandatory reporter of child abuse and neglect, and this law applies specifically to you. You must report it if you have any suspicion or reason to believe that a student is being abused. At the state level, legal standards for reporting child abuse vary, but in most states it can be done anonymously. If you decide to report in person, your identity is protected from disclosure to anyone outside of the necessary officials investigating the report. There is no consequence for you if social services investigates and determines there was no abuse or neglect unless they believe you knowingly made a false report. This is extremely rare and will not be a problem if you made your report in good faith. However, if something happens to a child and it is determined that you are aware of it and failed to report it, you can be prosecuted. This is why it's always best to report it. It is the law. Please take a moment to explore the federal resources available to you and to learn more about identifying and reporting child abuse and neglect. It is important to be an observant member of your school staff. You recognize signs of harassment, child abuse, and bullying of all kinds. And you understand how to report such behaviors according to your school's policies. Documenting any incident that you observe is an important habit to develop. Not only does it establish a pattern of victimization, ultimately it helps the student, which is your main goal, to help students get an education. Confidentiality is also a very important part of your job that is governed by federal laws. Maintain complete confidentiality regarding the students in your care. Recognize that information about students' home lives is private and not to be discussed with colleagues or anyone outside of the school. Remember that any recorded event is considered confidential. This includes grades, notes, digital files, and any other type of record. Play it safe and only discuss students with their teachers. End of story. In addition, your trustworthiness is measured by your reliability, that you show up to work every day on time, and that you're consistent in your quality of work. It comes down to this. In order to be an effective member of your school support personnel, you should always be professional, resourceful, responsible, and respectful. Every team member makes a difference, and you are critical to your school's success.